This video is brought to you by Cool Green Clothing.
I'm switching lanes so much, man. They can never get behind me, man. Yeah, I'm taking it all away, man. I ain't playing with them, man. One thing is the key, man. It's consistency, man. It don't matter, man, how good the product is, man. If you ain't out there, man, to get rid of it, man, the supply to demand, man, you going down, man. You in it for nothing, man. Get with me, man. I'm starting a whole league, man. Get with me, man. Get with the winning team, man. Cool Green Clothing. We going all the way, and we coming straight out of Baltimore.
What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. You definitely gonna want to watch this one to the end and hear the full story. It's a lot of details and elements to this case, so stay tuned, be patient with me. If you're new to the fam, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell for future uploads. That's enough of me talking. Let's get right into the story. The system, courtrooms, and law. It's something a lot of everyday people trust to get justice, protect their neighborhoods, and to keep the peace. But it's another side of the system in which mass incarceration happens. Innocent people spend decades in prison, a lot of them wrongfully accused. And when the reason is because of bad police work or a messed up system, no one admits to their wrongs, even after taking innocent people away from their families. And today on the Baltimore Way, we will discuss a case involving 3 men from Baltimore that all spent 36 years in prison for a crime they didn't even commit. According to sources, back on November 18th, 1983, a few young men were in class at Harlem Park Junior High School in West Baltimore. One of the teenagers we will call by his last name, Bishop, and another teen, DeWitt Duckett. Both of the boys were 14 years old at the time. After the bell rung, the friends, now with another young man, took a shortcut through the school to avoid the crowds. Once they got by the lockers, they were laughing and talking, and then the 3 turned around to a gun being put in their face. The gunman had on a gray hoodie and soon focused in on DeWitt, who had on an expensive popular coat at the time, a navy blue satin starter jacket with Georgetown wrote across the front. The coats back then went for around about $65, which was a lot of money. Allegedly, the gunman then put the gun to DeWitt's neck and demanded the young man to take off the coat. As DeWitt started taking off the coat that he worked so hard for at his summer job, Bishop and the other young man looked at each other before taking off running. As they made it down the hall, the boys heard a gunshot and someone screaming, "Someone shot DeWitt," in which he stumbled in the cafeteria without his coat on and collapsed into the principal's arms. DeWitt would be transported from the school on the back of an ambulance, but unfortunately, later that day, succumbed to his injuries. The shooting took the community by storm, as students mourned DeWitt's family, and then the case became extremely mainstream because it was the first case in Baltimore involving a student being shot in a public school. With the case being so high profile, pressure was put on police to identify a suspect and to make an arrest. Bishop, who was with DeWitt and saw mostly everything, was questioned as the primary witness. The young man told police it was a person with a hoodie on and a mustache, but Bishop stated he did not know a name. After the interview, a few teachers approached police and informed them 3 older students were in the building at the time. That same day, running and playing in the hallway. The boys were pointed out to be 16-year-olds Alfred Chestnut, Ransom Watkins, and Andrew Stewart. The detective on the case at the time was an officer named Kincaid. The day after the shooting, he found the 3 boys. At the time, Alfred was allegedly wearing a Georgetown starter jacket, just like the one the young man was robbed for. Kincaid questioned the teens, who insisted they had nothing to do with the situation. The police then took Polaroids of the boys. By this time, BPD took the pictures to Bishop and laid them out while he was at home with his mother. Police asked him, did he recognize any of the teens from the shooting? Bishop stated he did know Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew, but not as suspects, but the boys all went to elementary school together and were friends. The police left, but would keep coming to question Bishop, even late at night while he was asleep in his bed. But the young man stuck to his story. The day of DeWitt's funeral was tragic. The church filled with hundreds of people, including a Baltimore congressman. After DeWitt was laid to rest, police went to the school to talk to a security guard, who told them about a 13-year-old girl who claimed she saw everything. Detective Kincaid showed her the pictures of Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew, in which the young lady pointed out all three. Then later that evening, BPD picked up Bishop and took him to homicide without even telling his parents. Once he got there, it was two other teen boys, also without parents. Allegedly, police separated the boys, Bishop in a small room with a desk. Kincaid laid out the lineup again with the three boys, this time with aggression and yelling, telling Bishop this is the role each individual played. One of them grabbed the whip, another held the gun. Blase, blase. Confused, Bishop stuck to his story. It was only one shooter, and it wasn't either of the three. But that night, according to sources, BPD questioned the 9th grade boys at the precinct for hours, coercing them into stating it was Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew, even telling the boys if they didn't point them out, they could be charged with accessory to murder or tampering with evidence. Eventually scared, Bishop and the others pointed out the three friends. The next day, BPD went to all the boys' homes, one by one. First, Alfred, who stated he didn't know what they was talking about, as police asked him what was the gun, and pointed to his Georgetown jacket that was in the closet, before telling him he was arrested for murder, and threw him in a paddy wagon. Next, they went to Ransom's home, who recalled waking up with guns pointing at him and being told he was arrested for murder. As the two friends sat in the wagon, BPD went to pick up Andrew, who wasn't home but at a family's friend house. The arrests all took place after 1 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, with the boys' parents pleading with police their sons were innocent, and Alfred's mom stating, "I bought him that coat." All three boys sat in a wagon with each other, being taken into custody and charged with the murder of a friend, as they all knew and hung out and ate at DeWitt's house. All of them were 16 at the time of the arrest. As it hit the media, their faces was all put on the Baltimore Sun, charged as adults. Back in the streets, Bishop felt bad, knowing the three men didn't do it, but he was scared when he started seeing an 18-year-old from the neighborhood named Michael Willis walking outside his school with a blue Georgetown coat on. Michael even allegedly told Bishop, "Let me know if anybody try you. Just call me. I got you." Bishop started thinking about Michael's face, the jacket, and thinking back to the day DeWitt was hit, and the man with the hoodie on, and felt very uneasy. But as time went on, prosecutors would meet up with Bishop and the three other teens who were supposed to testify. The prosecutors allegedly told them what to say and what they saw that day, and they agreed. Bishop knew him and another student saw what really happened, but thought to himself the two other witnesses were not even there, and something just seemed off about the whole situation. He told prosecutors again it was only one shooter, and they brushed him off and reminded Bishop he could be charged if he would not comply. The trial of Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew started on May 15, 1984. Teachers testified on hearing the three boys playing and joking around the day of the murder. Then by the third day of the trial, the students testified. The young lady went first and told the jury she heard Andrew and Ransom ask for the coat, and Alfred then shot. The other students, scared, stuck to the story as well. Bishop talked to his loved ones, but didn't want to say anything and start any trouble, but felt like the situation wasn't right. Then according to him, something crazy would happen. Allegedly, Michael Willis walked into the courtroom, the man Bishop thought was responsible for shooting his friend. Bishop assumed the man was there to watch the trial and to make sure nobody brought up his name. So the young man decided to go with the plan, like everyone else. The three teens that was considered suspects slumped down, hearing their families cry, knowing they were innocent. And they couldn't believe the wit's mother would think they would hurt her baby and a friend. Eventually, Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew were all found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. The teens were all sent to the infamous Maryland Penitentiary, where they saw stabbings and a lot of other things happen. The three spent about 8 years together before they were all sent to different prisons. Meanwhile, in the streets, Bishop was navigating through life, but couldn't stop thinking after seeing Michael walking around free. That's who killed his friend. Bishop started feeling more and more and feeling guilty about the fact he was living life and 3 young men might not ever be free again. Years would go by, and Bishop felt as though if he told on Michael, he would be hit for snitching. So he kept everything bottled up. But in 2002, Michael was shot and killed in Baltimore. Meanwhile, the 3 men kept getting turned down for parole because they held their stance on being innocent. Alfred would start trying to get information about their case and started going to the law library on a regular, writing different programs pleading his innocence, but he was always shut down. Then around about 2015, State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby started a project to help people wrongfully convicted to get their cases looked at again and possibly get back in court. Alfred wrote her a 5-page letter. As the program, the Conviction Integrity Unit got the letter, the paperwork from the 3's case was heard by the program's director. Instantly, they started seeing red flags and started reaching out to the courts and police, who really didn't say much before they got attorneys of their own. The next step was to reach out to the witnesses, in which Bishop stated everything was coerced, even saying police made threats. They even found a statement that police allegedly told the teens when they were arrested, "You are black, I'm white, and we are the police. They won't believe nothing you say," even after telling them they were innocent. The program's head eventually reached out to the other witnesses from the case. It had now been 36 years. They all sat down and talked, and it was soon discovered they were coerced as well. She kept pushing until she was able to get everything looked at. Before you know it, the 3 men were now being recognized as the Harlem Park 3. They had attorneys and were on their way to freedom. It was eventually concluded they were wrongfully convicted, and the 3 were soon set free, and a lawsuit was filed. For the 36 years of prison time, the 3 served, being combined the longest in state history. The Baltimore Police Department was sued for millions, as the men were reunited with their loved ones. But as they stated, no amount of money could make up for the time lost, loved ones that passed away, and mental toll being in prison for 36 years being innocent can bring. As of now, the 3 men are free, and a settlement was allegedly reached. They are now in their 50s and went to prison when they were 16 years old. BPD never responded to all the allegations that happened in them years. Rest in peace to DeWitt. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to his family. Also to the families of everyone that was affected by this tragedy. I'm happy Alfred, Ransom, and Andrew got their freedom and lives back. But like they said, the state took their youth away. More of this story, justice in the law isn't always right. It's a lot of innocent people behind them walls. The sad part is, some don't know what to do to get a second chance, or just choose to deal with the cards they were dealt. This just goes to show you, the system can be just as corrupt as the people they claim are criminals and lock up. But hey, that's just the Baltimore way. Man, crazy story, you feel me? Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.